So let's look at one option to create a low poly terrain. The first is to use Blender. If I create a plane, I can add that in, and then I can scale it up. I'm not going to go too big just for the demonstration purposes. And I'm going to edit mode, hit W to subdivide. I'm going to subdivide about as much as I can. By default, it stops at 10, but I can type in more. So let's put in, say, 30, or maybe 40. Now my terrain is subdivided up into small rectangles, squares. And if I turn on proportional editing, which I can do that down here, and connected, and in general, I like to stay with a smooth curve. And what I can do if I want to start making hills, I can pull them up. I can adjust the effect size with my scroll wheel. What I've learned is I don't want to pull up hills all at once. I kind of want to pull them up in chunks. So if I want to create a mountain range, I'm going to do it piece by piece like this. Now, this is great. And this is how I did the terrain in my first game, Fracture the Flag. If I wanted to create something, say a lake, use my circle selection tool by pressing C, and then I can do the same kind of thing and pull it down. And now I've got myself a lake. Maybe I want a big flat section that I can build on. Do something like this and pull it up. This seems to work pretty well. But you don't necessarily get the most organic, interesting landscapes. So there's some testing. You can see what's going on. Now, as I kind of complained about before, you can see that all my polygons are rather uniform size. So with this technique, and the technique I'll show you later, we're going to add a couple modifiers. So go to your modifier. We're going to add first off, we're going to add a triangulate modifier. And the reason we're going to add a triangulate modifier is because when this mesh gets imported into Unity, Unity automatically makes it into triangles. So we might as well make those triangles early and take advantage of that extra geometry. We're also going to add a displace modifier and a decimate modifier. Now when I added that displace modifier, it all kind of swelled up because I don't have a texture. So we're going to press new to create a new texture. It's going to do weird things again. And then you can see here the texture is fully black. That's not what we want. So we're going to come up here to the texture option, come down here and select type. I like the clouds. You can play with different ones and get different effects. I'm going to use the cloud effect. And again, it kind of goes nuts and crazy. There's two reasons for this. One, if we go back to our decimate modifier, the strength is really high. 1. It's generally too high. Also, the scale of our model is too large. So if I hit Control A, I can choose to apply my scale, and that'll calm things down a lot. You can once again kind of see the shape of the mountains, although our lake is kind of lost and our little hill is lost. So we're going to turn the strength down. I usually like something around 0.1 or 0.2. Let's try 0.2. And there you can see, once again, I've got my shape. I've got my lake, I've got my hill. You can see the mountain, so to speak. And my terrain's got a little bit of texture going on. If that's too much, turn it down some more. That looks pretty good. Now still, my polygons are very uniform shaped. So I'm going to take this the decimate modifier rather, and I'm going to turn it down. Now if I turn it down to half, 0.5, just type that in, that basically gets rid of all the geometry that my triangulate modifier added. So we're back down to the basics. And you can see, especially here on the flat ground, if I turn it into wireframe mode, you can see that I don't have uniform shapes. My hills are still fairly uniform. And we can look at a technique to deal with that later. I might still drop this even more. And this is just a matter of personal preference. Drop it as much as you want. And now you can see that my hills have distinct polygons. They're not uniform. Maybe some uniformity still over there. But it's tending to look a lot better. So this is one way to do it. And this is how I did it for my first game. It takes a lot of time, but it works.